The Kentucky race for the United States Senate to take Mitch McConnell's place, the Epstein files, someone we'd like to see in office, and the thoughts on the realignment in this country of political processes, and a few closing words from George Clooney. It's New Year's Eve, it's early in the morning, and this is going to be a little long, so please stay with me. Please subscribe at the bottom. We would appreciate your support. In the race to replace Mitch McConnell, the Republicans are putting up 6 candidates. Now, 3 of them don't have a snowball's chance in hell, and I'm not even going to talk about them. But the 3 main candidates are Nate Morris, Andy Barr, and Daniel Cameron. Now, these 3 guys have a lot of money and a lot of political experience, except for Morris, who basically has more money than experience. Now, the current state of the race is that Andy Barr, the current representative for the United States 6th District in Kentucky, has the most money. Last time I checked, he had about $6 million. Now, currently, he and Morris are waging a campaign of seeing who can be the Trumpier candidate. They are hurling insults at each other and trying to curry favor with the Donald. They figure that if Donald Trump endorses them, well, they win. The third candidate, Daniel Cameron, the former Attorney General and failed candidate for governor, it seems to be in the lead in the polls. Now, he has probably more name recognition, having run 2 statewide campaigns. Cameron is kind of staying back. He's kind of standing back, letting these other 2 piss on each other. So the question will become is, how bad does Trump's brand get? These guys, Morris and Barr, are deeply aligning themselves with Trump. And even here in Ruby Red, Kentucky, there are mutterings among Republicans about how Trumpism is killing them. So we'll see on that. At this point in time, I kind of think Cameron might have the right idea. On the Democratic side, we got 6 candidates. A little more interesting than Republican. Now, I don't think all 6 of these really have a chance of winning, but they do present an interesting group. There's Joel Willett, former CIA agent. There's Logan Forsythe, the former Secret Service agent. Pam Stevenson, a representative from Louisville, a black lady who has been a leader in the state house. There is Amy McGrath, who has spent more money than God trying to be senator already, and has made a lot of consultants really rich. There's Dale Romans, a horse trainer from Louisville, who is, I think, probably put a ton of money in his own campaign. We don't know, we'll see. And then there's Charles Booker, who has run for the Senate twice. Lost the primary to McGrath and then lost to Rand Paul the last time. So the current state of the race, let's take a look at money first. In dollars and cents, the last number we have is September. Now, we will soon get this final quarter and things will change on this. But at this point in time, what we know is that Willett, the CIA agent, has about $315,000 in the bank as of September. Forsythe has about $38,000, considerably less. And Pam Stevens has about $25,000. Now, the interesting thing here about Stevenson is she has raised over $250,000. And she has pissed it away on consultants and staff fees and everything. And she, at the end of September, had $25,000. The other 3 haven't reported yet because they've come into the race afterwards. Now, McGrath is known for raising a ton of money, mostly out of state, and mostly through the federal powers that be, the billionaire class of the Democratic Party, and we'll see what she comes up with. Romans is probably being self-financing. He's claimed that he's got $750,000. The only way I can see how he did that is he gave it to himself, loaned it to himself, or took a big gift from some PAC. And we have no information on what Booker's got right now. The interesting thing is that 2 of these people have name recognition, and that's Charles Booker and Amy McGrath, just by virtue of having run a bunch. And in a recent poll, it showed that the way the voters recognize candidates on the Democratic side and the way they're looking at them is that Booker's got about a third, McGrath has about a third, and about a third are undecided. They, the difference between them is all on the margin of error on the poll. The other three candidates, they don't have any name recognition yet, or excuse me, four candidates. I honestly think that Pam Stevenson is toast at this point, and the reason I say that is that she had to be counting upon carrying the black vote in Louisville and Lexington. Well, with the entrance of Charles Booker, that's pretty well gone away. The seat that she holds in the Kentucky legislature, the person that held it before was Charles Booker. So the bottom line here is I don't see her campaign going anywhere. She seems to be squandering money and not raising a whole lot more, doesn't have a whole lot of presence. So I'm going to kind of write her off. Romans, this one strikes me as a vanity campaign. I cannot see how a horse trainer from Louisville, who is running as, his whole campaign is, I'm not really a Democrat. I'm just out here running, and I represent everybody. I'm an independent Democrat, whatever the fuck that means. Romans, this is running a vanity campaign, and I don't think he's going to go far. He'll get some money votes. He'll get some votes in Louisville, some horse industry votes, but he has not got enough to carry the state. Willett and Forsyth are two guys that have deeply impressed me. I've talked to both these guys, and I think that each one of them would make a fine senator. They make a fine public servant in any capacity. Their problem, their hurdle to get over is the fact of name recognition. If they had the same name recognition as Booker and McGrath, they would be up there chipping away at the vote. Now, I don't know how they're going to get their name recognition up. Remember, we got less than 5 months till the election, and that's going to be a big hurdle to jump for both these guys. Now, that being said, it's sort of like Texas. Texas has two candidates, one of whom's going to lose. We got 6. It's conceivable that obviously 5 of them are going to get out of the primary. And we've got 3 good candidates. We've got Booker, we've got Willett, and we've got Forsyth. Now, Booker obviously has the lead. He's got 30% or so. Willett and Forsyth, they need to step up. Now, this is good for Kentucky. I hope these guys stick around. But I'm not sure they're going to get it this time. But they may get enough name recognition that they can build on it and come back again. The Epstein files. A bone we should not let loose of. We should hold on to that like a junkyard dog. The Epstein files haven't produced one thing that I think is essential. No one's following the money yet. Or if they are, they're not telling us anything about it. Now, as I understand it, a lot of the transactions for old Jeff was done through Deutsche Bank. They're a noted money laundering organization with, let's put it this way, a flexible set of scruples. Follow the money. That'll tell you who paid for what, when they paid for it, and how much they paid for it. That's going to go a long way to defining who's involved in this scandal. The other thing is the victims themselves have been working together. They're compiling a list of perps. And I want to see some member of the House of Representatives walk onto the floor of Congress and read that list of names. Somebody with a little bit of balls. That would be nice for a change from Congress. And the other thing is, we're getting all the files in dribs and drabs from the Justice Department. Now, understand, they're slow walking. They're trying to obscure. They're redacting stuff that shouldn't be redacted, not redacting other stuff they should. They're putting files out and jerking them back. They are creating chaos, and I think that is entirely intentional. Now, my question is the Justice Department and the FBI incompetent too? It would seem to me that if you got a complaint on an investigation, you file your complaint, you organize your investigation, you keep your interviews, your evidence, and you keep it all organized in one clean file. That doesn't seem to have happened. Or if it did happen, they're chopping them up intentionally. So, the question is it incompetence, intentional confusion, chaos, or both? I think we're at an inflection point of a new political alignment in this country. I think that since 1981, when Ronald Reagan started stealing money from the middle class and destroying it and robbing people, the working people of this country, to inflate the incomes of the one percenters at the top, I think an end's coming to that. I think we're going to see a realignment. Now, a lot of the people that voted for Trump were pissed off. They were people who have been abused and neglected and feel lost and were looking for a Messiah. That's without a doubt. But there are a lot of Democrats, too, who have been screwed by Trump. Middle class, working class. And I think those groups will come together. The realignment's not going to be Republican and Democrat as it has been. It's going to be workers and middle class and people who actually go out and earn a living versus the one percenters who suck the blood out of the economy, think they're entitled, and think they're better and smarter than us. That realignment will come. Now, the question is the Democratic Party smart enough to realize that? Their billionaire donor class does not help them right now. If you are a Democrat and you're in office, you need not to be subservient to that billionaire donor class. And if you want to run for office, you don't do that either. So I think there's going to be a realignment. And a couple of final New Year's Day thoughts. Jack Smith. Jack Smith should be the next Attorney General of the United States once the Democrats come back in power. And if not that, he should be a Supreme Court Justice. Jack Smith's the kind of guy we need, really, as Attorney General. We don't need another Merrick Garland who sits around with his thumb up his ass and lets the bad guys off. I want somebody out there who is a junkyard dog and goes after them. And finally, a word from my better-looking, richer, more famous fellow Kentuckian, George Clooney. George Clooney had a word summing up how the administration has dealt with the major media, CBS, etc., and how they have kowtowed to him. And I have to agree with George's response, and this is the response we should respond to the Trump administration and everybody that works for them. George summed it up quite simply. Go fuck yourself. I agree, George. That's what we should all tell him.